But even if I found the spot and I found where to sit and something happens to me, I have to wait 7 years to hopefully get something back.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming back to another recording of Foul Ball Safety Now Talks. I'm Jordan Skop. I'm here with Brianna Ludwig. We're in the tail end of March, and baseball season starts officially tomorrow. Major League Baseball games will be starting tomorrow, and it's a long season of professional baseball. After the major leagues start, a few weeks later, all the other professional leagues start. And unfortunately, from what Brianna and I have discovered along the way, we know there's the foreseeable injuries that unfortunately will start up again. Foul Ball Safety Now, for those listening for the first time, started back in 2019 when I saw something pretty bad on the news. A little child was exposed to a hard ball, and ESPN put together this production also the same year, 2019, and I came on board knowing that there needed to be some change, some real conversation addressed at the issue. Why would there be an environment where people are bringing their families, where they have no clue on the legacy, on all of the past experiences, and put their kids in a situation where they could be exposed to the danger? And unfortunately, there's never been regular year to year to year conversations coming from baseball imparting all this important information to the families. There's an expression, families will make their informed decisions at the kitchen table. That's where everyone gathers. So unfortunately, the legacy will show once people discover that we're having this conversation now, that there's never been any year-end data shared with the fans, the people that come and support the game year after year after year. If the data was shared and reported about just how many near misses there were and how many direct hits there were, everyone would have then started scratching their head and I think would bleed from all of that ironic, how about all of that? Delivering like an epiphany of awareness into slash outrage. So I'm confident that we're going to get around to that once people discover this conversation. But we're not bitter at Foul Ball Safety Now. We have great guests. They bring thoughtful discussion, usually finding out about how much information we've gathered a day or two earlier, like our next guest coming up. Most of our guests find out about us, and then 3 days later, they know enough to lead a thoughtful discussion, which is going up very soon. So, so Brendan and I started 7 years ago. Brendan, who's an investigative reporter, he's been with me all this time. We've interviewed so many people who've been affected by this, not only the victims, people that unfortunately have had the worst situations ever. We've also interviewed many baseball players. 30 men have agreed to talk with us even years later, and they were very forthcoming about their own situation from years past. I kind of say something like they getting the skeletons out of their closet. They're unloading the burden that they've been carrying. It's a lot because they knew they were in a situation where the kids' safety was compromised, and we're giving them an opportunity to finally speak about it. So better late than never, and we're very happy that they're partaking in this important discussion. And we're speaking to present day players now who are feeling the stress. I have ads on places like Indeed, which is allowing baseball players and coaches to find me. I offer them an incentive to organize meetings. So it's a safe place where guys can open up about their feelings. Some guys are telling me things like, Jordan, every time I swing the bat, I have anxiety. Jordan, when there's kids' nights, my feelings really spike. Other things like the Queens College student who kind of got me started on connecting with the present day younger guys Queens College student contacts me, Jordan, Google Earth Queens College. You'll see that there's a baseball field right next to where we play our games, and balls are going over the side. And of course, they're nervous about that. And we want to give the next generation an opportunity to finally have an opportunity to play the game free and clear, inside and outside the ballparks. Brianna, who's my co host coming on shortly, she's a mom. She'll be able to explain that it's not a free ride just to park at the lot, about standing outside and gathering with your friends, because we're learning so many balls are flying outside. And she can't even feel comfortable because she knows so much now. There's no particular ballpark that can say to Brianna and her young family, "Hey, here's where you park, and here's how you navigate inside, and here's how you come out and not worry about a thing." Her child should only have a jacket on a cool night. That's the only thing she should be concerned about. But most of these families are gonna find out different once we share all the statistics. So, we're still positive. We're going to create these conversations, and more people are gonna come to this with us. We're excited about that. And some news, we are excited about opening day, and we had this Shohei Ohtani experience set up in Arizona a few weeks ago, and people stopped and they looked at it, and it showed Shohei Ohtani, who's very much the face of Major League Baseball and World Baseball, and he's a member of the Dodgers. He hit a ball down the lines in the World Series, and he thought he hurt a human being, so he reacted. And to get to see Shohei Ohtani, the world's face of baseball, holding his hand over his head, thinking, "I just hurt somebody," you would think, why are baseball players still in 2025 having these cringeworthy experiences? Because they think they may have hurt someone, whether it be a security guard or with the ball going over the net on the side, hurting a human being. We heard that Shoei's had this expression before. So that means it's not just once in a lifetime that he hits a ball that may hurt somebody. It may be more often than not. So we'll get to that. Also, a broken bat in the playoffs made its way over the netting in Seattle. You could even hear the announcer when showing it on replay as they showed the broken bat coming into the seat. He says something like, "Yikes, look out." And we're aware of a child. We were contacted by an attorney. Nothing has changed over the years. Why are baseball bats still flying over the nets at playoff games that could hurt you or spear your heart? And unfortunately, the case that we learned about involved a child where there was a bat that flew into the stands, where there was a mom holding her child. This game was on ESPN, and you could see the mother turning away, and the bat unfortunately struck the child. And there was a big commotion, and the announcers were saying a few things, but then they moved right on. Unfortunately, this family was left all on their own for 7 years. The team did not do the responsible thing. They may have addressed the safety matter a day or a month or a year later, I don't know, but obviously too late for this family, and the family did not get the treatment they should have gotten from these billionaires. These billionaires should have been in their corner from day one, making sure that this child had everything, and that was not the case at all. A lawyer found us on Google, and Brendan was able to help them prepare for their trial, and that case was settled. But this was 7 years later, not 7 days later, 7 years. And this family went through a lot of bad things. And unfortunately, this child grew up nonverbal. Not that things would have been different if the teen billionaires, doctors were there, but what happened should have been addressed like a crisis for this professional club, and something to deal with right away and to prevent it from ever happening again. But our book will certainly demonstrate that most people will be sympathetic and empathize because they'll realize that it could have been them and this family got the raw deal. Yeah, this case ended up being settled. The child has minimum care and not what this family deserved after this incident happened. But we are positive. We're going to bring on our guest shortly. Brianna, how you doing?
Doing good, Jordan. Excited to dive into this topic today with our guest host. So, without further ado, I'd love to invite on Luis Del Hoyo. He is a chef from
Hi,
Miami. Welcome,
guys. Hi,
Luis.
Jordan, Brianna. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Luis. Appreciate being around today.
I'll be honest with you, like we spoke before. Okay, I live in Miami for quite a few years now. I've been always around the idea of going to the Marlins game because it's exciting. I've seen some, semi-pro and smaller games around. This is what's happening to me today, and in a great way, I have to say it, in a very positive way. It's your fault that I was trying to go to the opening game, trying to choose the seats, and I don't know where to sit because before this, I never thought about the idea of being sitting with my kids. I have 4 kids. That being a moment that might change my life because, and I learned through this podcast, the under 1%, that could be me. I'm kind of in a position of, okay, I never thought of this before, but it's pretty scary because let's say I'm sitting there watching the game, getting a snack, and all of a sudden I get hit by a loose ball, and it could be me, but worse, my 3-year-old or my 6-year-old. Just watching a game that can ruin your life in a second, and there's nothing like a simple net to stop it. So yeah, I have to say thank you because you raised an issue that I never thought about before. And at the same time, I don't know where to sit if I will actually feel safe in a ballpark, which should be like 101.
Unfortunately, it's definitely not 101. And if it was 101, we would
Yeah.
all be on the same page. We would all know this is exactly the plan guys should follow, and it should be a no-brainer, but that's not the case. Unfortunately, Brianna discovered probably around 45 self-reported injuries in 2025. These are people that have created TikTok videos about their bruises, and some of them may have had concussions. We're not sure, but clearly 45 people reported you could see visible videos of black and blue marks, and that should definitely not be. It should be a thing of long ago past, and we should have all addressed this problem, but it's not being addressed. You may see some improvements of some ballparks where they've extended some nets, but that's an illusion of a solution. A solution is knowing when you walk in, Luis, you can be at
Exactly.
peace. That's a solution. And you don't have that. It's never been, and it still never is. I want you to feel that. And if I can make that a reality, it's really absurd, Luis, because the Marlins, they pay the salaries of 4 other teams. These are the
Yeah.
affiliates. Sometimes the owners of the Marlins own the teams, and sometimes they're individually owned. So there's about 30, well, there are 30 MLB clubs, and then there's 120. And some of those 120 are owned by the owners of the teams that own the 30 teams, and sometimes they're individually owned, but there's a direct connection. They pay the salaries of those players at the 120 teams because that's the future. But the younger guys who are finding me, Luis, they're the ones hitting the ball. And at least now they have an outlet because they want to be decent human beings. But they realize that they're playing in a compromised situation, that it's inevitable, Luis. It's not a matter of if something's going to get crushed,
When?
it's when. And these younger guys are finding me because I have posts on websites like Indeed, which is places where people are looking for side work. So people are looking for work with me to organize conferences. I'm trying to give a safe place, Luis, where these players can talk about their anxieties. They should have the opportunity to play the game free and clear. But they know, Luis, because they've been telling their mothers and fathers the safest places to sit for years, but they haven't been telling everybody else.
Again, it should go back to be something simple.
Of course.
Looking at different stadiums, looking at the pictures, everything, and then small pitches
Yep.
that I have around the neighborhood. When I drive, And this seems safer. I mean, when you go and you see a park, and I have a park 2 blocks down from my house, it looks a lot safer than looking at the Dodger Stadium or looking at the Marlins Stadium because, I mean, this just seems safer. And when I look at these nets and I try to figure out where to sit, I don't see anything that shows me if I'm really safe. There's not like a grade. It's like this is A, B, or C. So if you're sitting here, you might. If you're sitting here,
Uh-huh.
you're well. If you sit over there, but then again, I don't have anything to see. Okay, I'm gonna sit here because according to the stadium, this makes me safe. But even if I found the spot and I found where to
Mhm.
sit, and something happens to me, I have to wait 7 years to hopefully get something back. Because if I go to the cinema tomorrow, I purchase a ticket, I sit down, and a piece of scaffolding falls on me, I'm covered because I have insurance. You go to the stadium and there is no insurance. There's nothing. I don't have anything, any literal safety net for me. Me and my kids are open to whatever happens. I hear in one of the other episodes an incident. I think it was in Modesto. I don't remember where. And hit a windshield.
Yep.
Hit
Hit
a
a
woman.
woman. Hit a woman.
So
Hit a
even
woman in her
even if
head.
in the parking lot,
Yeah,
me and
yeah.
my kids are not safe, and there's no one from their side, from the league, the captain, the owner, nobody's doing absolutely anything. And this is the part where I go back and I need to ask you, because you are the one to know. So how is it possible that if I'm paying 30, 40, 50 bucks a ticket, if these people are making in sponsorship and
Yep.
everything, they cannot spend what should be $10,000, like a small percentage of what they're making in getting a net. And I'm not buying the whole thing of no, the net ruins the visibility of the game because sorry, I'm not buying it. It's just a net. What are we missing from these people? How is it possible that they have done?
I got it. I hear you. And we're attempting to finally, Luis, put all of the darkness on the table. The explanation is darkness, right? And I'm able to start back in 1913. That's over 100 years ago when the darkness was created. The lawyers who worked with MLB back in 1913 figured it out, Luis. They knew that if they could get this thing passed called the baseball rule, people can Google the baseball rule. And in most states in the United States, they knew from that moment on that they could let the balls hit anyone, anywhere inside the ballpark, outside the ballpark. That includes bats too, balls and bats. Now, that protected them because the people that have been hurt along the way, the people in the less than 1% injured club, they knew those people would have a hard time even finding a lawyer because lawyers aren't interested, Luis, in taking on those cases because they're not going to do 40 hours worth of work, these lawyers, and not even get their case to round one. So good luck in finding a lawyer. So they figured that out. They did. This is why, this is the darkness that we need to get rid of. Once this baseball rule has been done with, then the teams will be forced by insurance companies and regulations to tell you when you walk in the ballpark, safe experience 100%. No more balls and bats will be violating you. You know, is there a chance somebody could slip or fall like in a shopping mall? Of course. Should the team have insurance for those people that break an ankle or fall? Of course. But that's not my field. My work is all about the prevention and to create a society, a baseball society where there's truth in baseball on how they operate as a commercial establishment. And we're not even close because there's balls going this way and that way. And when people ask me to rate one field over another, Luis, I can't do that. I can't tell you this ballpark is percentages greater when it comes to precautionary netting than that ballpark. I'm not going to do that. That's above my pay grade. But there are solutions out there. And it's a maybe a matter of finally getting down at the table with these billionaires. And if these billionaires aren't going to respect the voice and reason of common sense and create a civilized society, then maybe it's time these billionaires leave and new billionaires will come in and respect the past, all the people that have been smashed, that don't have any closure, that share this dilemma and this matter with their kids and their grandkids because you don't get over it. You don't know how to get over it because there's no apology available. It could happen again. These people in the less than 1% club are done, most cases, with baseball. We're still going to stay positive.
No, definitely.
No, I just wanted to say I relate so much to where you're coming from your perspective as a parent, where it's like you want to give your children the, all American experience of being at a baseball game and that joy on their faces and the cotton candy and the like camaraderie of being in the stands and the crowd and wondering where you can possibly sit now that you've been made aware of this information. And Luis, you and I are the lucky ones. Most parents have no idea the true risks of taking their children to a ballpark. I am willing to bet that a high majority of parents, were they told point blank, in this section, somebody was blinded, in this section, somebody was concussed, would not have their children sitting in those sections. But a large majority of parents don't have that information. This is not publicly available information. The MLB is not required to report this information to the families that are paying to be there. And so I totally feel you. I'm in that same boat where it's like, man, I would love to take my son to a baseball game. I'm in Los Angeles. We have the Dodgers, we have the Angels. Huge part of Los Angeles culture, without a shadow of a doubt, is, the Dodgers and baseball culture down here. But we can't guarantee your safety in any part of the ballpark. The MLB cannot guarantee that you will not be struck by a flying object, whether it be a ball or a bat or a part of a bat, in any part of the ballpark. There's a woman in Modesto who was hit outside. We know of people who've been struck while waiting in line at concessions or in outfield areas, seating areas, even behind the nets. We have the report on the website right now. 2025 incidents reported, where we supposedly have the best netting that we've ever had, the most netting in professional baseball, and still we've got about around 45 self-reported injuries, many of whom were seated behind nets. Objects are still making their way over the nets. So that's just the reality right now. And me personally, as a parent, I've made the decision that I know so much, having worked with this campaign for over a year and a half now, and I just cannot take the risk. It's not worth it to me because I know that there is no area, even in the parking lot, that is
No,
considered
I
safe.
mean, that's how I'm feeling right now. Literally, yesterday and today I was looking at the tickets for the season opening game. And again, I'm not the person who knows the most about baseball, but after everything that I've been reading in your website, the Marlin games, the ball went directly into a camera, so straight back. Another one got hit on the chest. And then when I started digging in and seeing how many balls are thrown per game, how many balls per year, reading all about the less than 1%, and it's like scary, but scary true. And then the next thing came to me, reading again in the website, October 2025, that the announcer yelled, "Yikes! Look out!" after the guy was hit in the chest. I think it was.
Yeah, well, actually, he wasn't hit in the chest, but the bat did
Oh,
come
that
over
one.
the net. He was making an expression, but that should be a warning telling us that even after an announcer screams, "Yikes, look out," why are there human beings still getting bats thrown at them when they're supposed to be sitting and enjoying the game, whether it's a broken bat or a full bat? We have examples of full bats as
That's
well
wild.
in 2025 going over the nets. Yankees versus Orioles, June 22nd, 2025. Go to the 8-minute marker on YouTube and you'll let it roll for about 20 seconds and you'll see a broken bat coming over the net if it wasn't for a really hot day at Yankee Stadium in New York, maybe one of those corporate rich guys or rich families would have been struck by the bat. Luckily, nobody was there in those seats. It's
Well,
crazy.
maybe if one of the rich guys get hurt, they might probably do something. The problem is the rest of us there have.
Yep, that's an interesting point. No billionaire's child may be part of that less than 1% club. And once we find out about someone, they may find out about us and they may push me to the side and take on this cause, which
Hopefully.
I hope they do. I'd love to pass on the torch. So we do need more influencers. But you being part of this with us is an influence. And we've met all types of people that are finding out about this more or less for the first time just a few days ago. And by taking the time and asking us questions and being part of these discussions, they'll be discovered. So we
No,
thank you for
thank you
that.
guys, because I came to realize A, that there was an issue, and B, like you say, the darkness. So I'm pretty sure now, you know how they say, you should just pay attention. But they got you with loud music, 50,000 people, scoreboard. So it's kind of a trap. It's like just sit down and try to enjoy, and hopefully you don't fall in the less than 1%. So yeah, I still want to go watch the game, but I'm super hesitant now. I'm not sure.
We're not action figures.
Hell
We're
no.
not superheroes. Even with a sign on the seat in front of you, you have a drink or a cup holder. It says right in front of you, be careful. Really?
Oh yeah.
What's that going to do? Why are they telling you when you get to your seat? Why aren't they telling you at the kitchen table in the middle of the winter? And then we can all make an educated, informed decision. And those people who are also at the kitchen table, the 99 percenters, they're also working for agencies and they know that they should have been told about this years and years ago. They're going to be like, well, we're baseball fans, but I work for an agency that's supposed to be on the lookout to make sure kids' safety is protected. So nobody at the agencies that is supposed to be responsible have gotten the information in a responsible way, and we
Hopefully.
hope they will. We had this one person on, she's a company, OSHA. OSHA is supposed to look out for the workplace, making sure that your working environment is safe. And we had somebody on, that was several months ago, and this 14-year-olds, maybe 16-year-olds, maybe that's the minimum age, you have to be at least 16 to sell food at the Marlins game. And maybe the OSHA should be there to make sure that 16-year-olds are not getting hit by balls. And I would love for them to step up and jump in. And I'm sure there's other agencies that haven't discovered foul ball safety now that should and should welcome us into their conference and hear all of our information. We're meeting doctors and others that will hopefully, on these recordings, take away this experience, Luis, and bring their doctors in on this or their lawyers' associations, because that's what we're going to continue to do, Luis. Make these conversations happen, and people will discover them and potentially come on as guests. And when they do discover our library, Luis, everyone will be getting an opportunity to learn, whether it was 6 months ago or today, about our discussions. It'll be like it's the first time they're hearing
Yeah,
about it.
that's what happened to me. And I'm pretty sure you're not even halfway there, because, like you said, people are starting to realize the issue, finding you, and I'm pretty sure you were looking for them, and now they're finding you, which again, I have to say I'm grateful and thank you for this, because at least for me, it has opened my eyes, and I'm sure somebody that never thought of this, or somebody who went through this, or who knows somebody is gonna come forward eventually with you, because you have opened the door that we needed. So much appreciated.
We appreciate that. I'll tell you a story because it's new and the audience should hear this. is just a few days ago, it was over the weekend, Luis. I get a call from a guy in Illinois, and he's telling me he's been living in a house for 13 years, and the high school are hitting balls at his house. He can't enjoy his backyard or his front lawn. And he's upset because he's been dealing with the local community and it's been hard. And I spoke with him for a half hour, wanted to hear all of his information. And I hope that he'll find some peace very soon. But he's had an uphill battle of trying to get the attention and the respect. And people don't automatically think when you buy a house next to a field that balls are going to be hitting your house. People don't think when they hang out in the parking lot, like in Modesto, that potentially balls can hit them in the head, right? Who's to think that you should be concerned that you bought a house next to a high school field that balls are going to be hitting your house? Because we don't know. Most of the fans are not concerned standing outside in a parking lot or hanging out in their porch. We've never been educated. And if we were, back in 1913, developers wouldn't be building houses next to certain fields. I believe some of the developers knew exactly what they were doing because they know. And they should know that balls, but the people that buy the house, that's another matter. If you build something like the owners of a baseball field, they know the risks. The developer who builds next to a high school, their job is to really know all the risks. So I believe there's some knowledge there. Maybe some have none, but I can't believe that. You should know. But the 100 million baseball fans, 90% of them are thinking foul ball and fun. They're not thinking about foul ball and
Definitely not.
danger. That's the current environment. 90, 80, 85 to 90% of the people, Luis, don't really think of anything other than a good time, unconditional good time at the game. And unfortunately, it's never been the case, Luis. There's always been strings attached. There's always going to be new members into the less than 1% club. And we're trying to prevent that.
Well, we're getting there. You are making it happen, and that's great.
Yes, I have a platform and I'm going to go exactly where this conversation needs to go. And that's to conclusion. I want to go all the way to conclusion, which is solutions. And I want peace in baseball. I want peace for the victims that we've come across and the hundreds or thousands that we've never heard about yet. And we want them to have peace too. And it's exciting. It's exciting that you're finding us and new people are finding us. And I'm certainly committed to making sure these conversations will find a life. So thank you for being part of this with us.
Yeah, Luis, as a chef, when guests come into your restaurant, they have an expectation of a certain level of care and safety. Do you think that venues such as ballparks and stadiums are responsible for seeing to it that their spectators are well taken
Oh,
care of and
definitely.
kept
The
safe?
moment, I mean, it's like what I was saying before about when you go to the cinema. Same when you come to a restaurant. If you come, let's put it this way, if you come to a restaurant, to my restaurant, and you have food poisoning, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lawsuit, not only a concern, but of course, because that's the way to do it. That's why, from my side, as an owner, as a chef, I always make sure that what I'm bringing you to the table is safe to eat and enjoy. So, if at the same time you come to a restaurant and there's an accident in the sidewalk, or when you come in, or during, I do a lot of private events. So I come to your house, I do an event, and there's an accident because of something I did, I'm responsible. And there has to be something that says, okay, because this happens, I mean, no, sorry. First of all, a way to prevent it. And if not, a way to fix it. Because if it happened once, we need to fix it. This is why in food and beverage, we have what is called hazard analysis of caution points. I don't remember exactly, which means if this happens, let's say food poisoning, you need to go back step by step to find where was the mistake. So next time you avoid that mistake. And what I'm seeing right now with all this issue at the baseball parks is that there is no hazard. There's no hazard analysis. This is happening. So what do? Let's keep going and hope that it's not enough people. And that's where it's scary. Like you say, the dark ages, people hiding it. It's definitely something that they should look into it. If me as a chef, if this happened in my restaurant, tomorrow is fixed or is on its way to be fixed, because other than that, I would be neglected. I'd be responsible.
Perfect explanation. Great question, Brianna. Yeah, this is really exciting, and it's great to get different points of views on accountability and how we are all accountable in our roles. And this was really cool. Luis, I want to thank you for being
Thank you so
part of
much.
this with us. And we're going to remain optimistic, and healthy aggression is what we do. And Brianna, I want to thank you, and
Thank you.
Luis, terrific, and we'll do it again soon,
Thank
guys. Thank you.